As the China domestic hymn, March of the Voluntary, boomed of the loudspeakers at Post-Kong Arena, fans erupted in complete-throated boos, several flapping flags, other cover his many faces. Mocking the hymn has been nearly usual at post-Kong World matches with pro-democracy protests in 2014, but now in the perspective of a law how could give a jail verdict, he's proper a more than hazardous, and sharpened, outcry. In October, China entered a domestic hymn act, that punishes human beings who contempt the chant by up to 15 days in prison. Time it now just applies on the continent, he's creature adoptee in post-Kong's bylaws, and an correction to the law that would expand the penalty to a maximal of 3 years is creature deliberate by Beijing. The law has been the newest flash temperature for such afraid increasing China invasion on post-Kong sphere, among warnings it could contradict world conventions to that post-Kong, but not China, is assigned. Opposition passageway of the regional release of the law is not anticipated before following year, and is certainly to encounter in coordinated outcry of the town's opposition pro-democracy motion. Such protesters, consisting so-known militant Joshua Wong, were given keep to circulation his sentences to post-Kong's highest trial over the monthly. How instance will be heard in December they will sense worst how there receive sandwiched downward, how the by the government is behaving in a quite authoritative path. She says the perceptual is the by the government isn't hard to resolve problems, fair penalize human beings who act versus these problems. The year symbolism 20 year with the transmission of post-Kong of UK to China guideline in 1997, while, by the concept of a nation, two system, Beijing pledged to retain the guideline of act, liberty of speaking and the law to outcry for 50 year. Crucial period. Love other, fears a interdiction on booing is a mark of unwanted policy changing. Of year, fans include the law to catcall. He's a arena, we can do which we wish. If we love the chant we will commemorate the chant but law now, fans dong ti, very love the chant. He says fans will get everything measures they can, cover his many faces in scarves or tiring masks or hats, to unclear his identities and go on to boo the hymn. The law changing in China will certainly include an impact on fans in post-Kong, Patrick Ouyung, a sports reporter for a regional soccer website says. A lot of reporters are shooting, particularly the post-Kong applauding chapter so, same fans, will try not to include his person on the TV. The booing has in fact reduced with recent Thursday in the amiable play versus Bahrain. He as well says how the fans include the law to catcall, but should individual sport and policy. I believe all should honor his own domestic hymn, but I believe post-Kong fans should be concentrating more than on the play rather than the policy issues. Same fans who boo include done his spot now and I'm cute certainly how if where hadn't been such a concern shown by the political community and in special the print, it would include stopped a length period back, he told. Sutcliffe as well embattled which he called an organized against booing lease a crowd someone, he estimated, were paid to visit the matchstick for the goal of opposing the booing fans. I don't aware who these human beings are or who is profitable them but they are obviously not where to look the soccer, he told. The Asiatic Soccer Confederation has endangered sanctions regime versus the crew if the booing continues. Boos, jeers, unpleasant gestures as the China hymn was announced, the boos begun and enlarged in rate as the at first notes of March of the Voluntary were play, a significant quantity of human beings in the mob, tiring the red shirts of the post-Kong domestic crew, jeered and booed, gesturing and flapping his flags. Profi Hong Kong flags, consisting one that recite dead for post-Kong were wavy. Stewards rushed up the stairwells in among the arena seating sections, flapping his hands at the booing fans but how wasn't quite to suppress them. Meantime, a resist team of fans, who supporting both of China and post-Kong, were installed in a remote portion of the arena. They number about 80 and were arranged in an in-isolation portion of the southward stay. Over wherever they were sitting they had draped a China banner. Parasol protection? In among the post-Kong supporters, where were a few signs of the parasol motion, the 2014 policy motion that saw sections of post-Kong locked by protesters for months. One older blower, a man in his 50s or 60s, wore a t-shirt in I Loving HK spelled on it, but in the cardiac replaced by an parasol. Lot of such booing the China domestic hymn include pronounced supporting for post-Kong autonomy. Telephone call for that include been increasing with the end of the parasol motion pro-free democracy protests in 2014. Beijing has reacted crossly to any telephone call for post-Kong to individual of China, in CEO Xi Jinping precautionary for a right to mark 20-year of China guideline above the town how it was a scarlet link for the center by the government. In the history pair of year where include been increasing issues, misfortune versus China, and the increasing invasion of Beijing on regional issues. We requirement to know why youthful human beings are not lucky, same booing, is fair a reflect of his tension. Kit to not all pro-free Chinese beginnings were isolated in the arena's southward stay. For part-time and quarrel spring up in the Ultras chapter, hundreds of scarlet shirt fans enclosed one or a pair of human beings for few protocol, screaming Matt in Cantonese and gesticulating at them in his medium fingers grown. Post-Kong's southward Korean trainer, Kim Pot-gon, rejected to commentary on the impact the boos may include on his players' moral condition.